everyone to children's worship this morning, outside or at home. If you have your sheep at home, you can grab it. And Jesus, the Good Shepherd, welcomes you here this morning. And I'll take our sheep and put it into the sheepfold with our Good Shepherd. And we have been greeted by Jesus, so now we can greet each other. So if you want to get your hands ready, we can do it together. The Lord be with you and also with you. Well, this is a very special place here. We are outside for children's worship this morning, out in God's creation. And we are going to hear a special story about God's creation later on. And so we can get ready to worship God this morning outside here together. I have our calendar here. Now, okay, if you are watching this in person today, you have not seen a story yet about our calendar, but if you are watching at home, last week you saw a very special story or lesson about our church year calendar. And if you're here today and you want to see that story, it's up today. So you can go home and watch it today or anytime during the week, okay? So, and also I'm going to move our calendar 1 square forward for us here, and at home you would need to move it 2 squares forward. It's a little tricky, but does anyone remember what the green is for? No. What the green stands for? What kind of time it stands for? Yeah, the growing time. Yep. So we are in the growing time, and now the last time we were all together, we were way over here. Do you remember what time that is? Yeah. Lent. Yes, we were in the purple Lent. And we have come all the way, halfway around our circle. Can you believe that? Crazy. So I'm going to move it just 1 week forward for everybody here, and at home, you would go 2 weeks forward. Okay?
Dad, you're going next. You're going next.
Okay. So if you're at home, you can pause the video if you want to sing some songs. We are not going to sing songs here, but we will do our Be Still and Know, because that helps us to get ready to listen, to see what God has for us today. So if you want to do the motions with me, take your hands like this and say, be still and know that I am God. Should we do it one more time? Ready? Be still and know that I am God.
This is.
Okay, so those words help us to get ready. So before we start the story, I have one question for you guys. What are some of the biggest gifts that you have ever gotten? And you can say it. What are some of the biggest gifts you've ever gotten?
My biggest gift, I think, was
What? You don't know?
I think.
Any kind of gift.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about it. Oh, that remote. It's for my birthday though.
Something for your birthday,
It's
yeah?
It's that remote control car.
A remote control car. Okay, that's kind of big. Anything else that's big? Has anybody gotten a horse? Maybe that's really big. Amen. Yeah.
The sandbox.
A sandbox. That's pretty big. It's about this big. Okay. Any other big gifts? A bouncy house. That is very big. Yes. I don't think we've gotten one, but someone we I know, that's really big. Okay, so those are some big gifts, but I can think of something even bigger.
This is the gate.
An even bigger gift. And there are some gifts that are so big that it's really hard to see them.
A castle is bigger as a church.
Oh,
That
yes.
church.
I can think of something even bigger than a castle.
That's love. I know something even bigger than a castle.
What?
I can think about a giant
God.
like bigger than the whole outer space.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well I can think of something even bigger than outer space. That's a gift.
The world.
Oh. All right, so our story today is about something so big that we sometimes even forget that it's here. And sometimes we don't even see it, the gifts that is around us. Okay.
Sexy dog, we'll all be sexy dog.
So this gift, I don't even really know how to tell you guys about it or see it unless we go back to the very beginning. Okay. So let's see if we can go back to the beginning today. Okay, ready guys? So in the beginning, there was nothing. Except maybe there was God and maybe a giant smile. So on the first day, God gave us light, the gift of light. Now, I don't mean light like a light that we turn on or off in a room. And I don't even mean light like the sun or the moon or the stars. I mean like light, like what is present in light that makes light. When God saw the light, God said, "It is good." On the second day, God gave us the gift of water. Now, I don't mean water like water that comes out of a faucet or water that comes out of a bathtub or even water in a glass. Not even water that comes from the sky.
Not even lake?
I mean water. What is present in water that makes it water. And God saw the water, and God said, "It is good." On the third day, God gave us the gift of the dry land and the growing things. I mean, all of the land and all of the growing things. And when God saw the dry land and the growing things, God said, "This is good." On the fourth day, God gave us the gift of the great lights. The great light that rules the day. The great lights that rule the night. And when God saw the great lights, God said, "This is good." Well, on the fifth day, God gave us the gift of the fish that swim in the sea and the birds that fly in the air. And when God saw the birds and the fish, God said, "This is good." That's all. On the sixth day, God gave us the gift of the creatures that walk on the earth, the animals and the people. And when God saw the animals and the people, God said, "This is good." Well, when God saw everything that was made, God said, "This is very good." And on the seventh day, God gave us a gift of a day to rest and a day to remember. To remember the gifts of all the other days. So on this day, the seventh day, we find a special place to remember all the gifts of God. So I wonder, what special place would you go to remember God's gifts of creation? Does anybody have a special place that they would go to remember God's gifts of creation? Yeah? The zoo? Oh, yes, you could see all the animals. There are plants, yeah? Yeah. A farm, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. A beach, ooh, that sounds nice. Any other special places to remember God? Yeah. A church. Okay. I wonder which day here, or which gift was your favorite to hear about? Yeah. Animals. Everybody likes animals. Yeah. The animals. Anybody else want to share their favorite day or gift to hear about? Okay. I wonder which you think is the most important. Which day or which gift is the most important? Water. That is very important. People and animals.
How would you live without water and food?
That's true. How would you live without water and food? Those are pretty important. Yeah. God. Yeah, God does give us the gift of God's self. Well, maybe later today, maybe even after this, you could find a special place, maybe even in the garden, somewhere outside, to remember God's gifts of creation. Just take a minute and remember all those gifts.
Going to the zoo?
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm going to try to light our candle. We'll see because it's a little bit windy. Does anybody remember why we light the candle?
No.
No, it's been a long time, huh? Yeah, you remember? Yeah, Claire? Yeah, it reminds us that God is with us. Into the world, even when we don't see. That's right. Oh, I think I got it.
When it comes out, then the Holy Spirit.
And it went out. Oh, nope, it's back. So you can just see a tiny little flame today. But don't come too close. Stand here. Okay. And then you can pass the peace of Christ to the people in your family. You can touch their shoulder or their head or their arm and say, "Peace of Christ be with you." Peace of Christ. And then you can extend your hand out to somebody maybe who's not in your family. Say peace of Christ like this. Peace of Christ. Peace of Christ. Peace of Christ.
Peace of Christ. Peace of Christ.
All right.
Peace of Christ. Peace of Christ.
Till next time.
Christ.